Say, bruh, it's the podcast.
What's up? It's Hot Boy Troy. We got Cuddy, and this is the Say Bruh Podcast, episode 26.
Yes, sir.
And today, man, I'm excited. We got Pastor Anthony. We got our pastor on. What up, Pastor?
What's going on?
He said, what up, Pastor? Yeah. Troy a little nervous over here.
Not nervous. As y'all can see, I look a mess. Fresh out of a basketball game. Hey, we got that dub, though.
About time.
But yeah, no, I was excited about this one just because I was like, all right, we've been wanting to get Pastor on literally when we first started our list, so I'm glad we was finally able to make it happen.
It just took 26 episodes, that's all.
Only.
I wasn't too high up on that list, apparently.
No, you was.
Hey, we'll wait for the right time, which we'll get at the end.
Yes, because timing is. Oh, we could touch on it a little bit right now. So, at our church adventure, we have some exciting news. We're about to move, right?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we just recently signed a contract to meet in the Tower Theater, the historic Tower Theater.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, honestly, we've been a part of the Tower community now for 9 years officially, but 10 years unofficially. Because when we got the building on Palm and Dennett, it wasn't ready to hold church services. So it took us about 9 months to get it ready so we could hold church services. So we launched Easter of 2011, and we've been a part of that community doing everything from Easter toys, Easter giveaways, Christmas giveaways, backpack giveaways to the neighborhood schools. So in our biggest event we really do is our Harvest Carnival, our trunk or treat, in which we'll have 3,000-4,000 people show up as we give away 1,000 pounds of good candy. Not the cheap dollar store candy. I'm talking good candy.
We talking Snickers,
not Flickers.
It's the fun size.
No.
Wait.
Big sizes as well too.
All right.
Yeah, maybe even some king size, depending on who you are. So we love it. We love being a part of it. And so when the Tower Theater came available, through some conversations with the owners, we just jumped on it. We just knew it was something that we wanted to do. We'd outgrown our facilities. So we do a lot of church services on the weekends, so now we'll be able to fit more people.
Nice.
About how big is our congregation?
Between the two campuses, we're probably 1,500 plus. So, yeah.
That's
Eastern,
big.
Yeah, Eastern numbers, we get up to the 2,000s. Yeah.
Man, look at God. So when me and Dorian first started going, it was because of Janet. Shout out to Janet.
She's going to appreciate that.
Yeah,
she was waiting the whole time. And it's early into this episode.
Yo,
so,
Janet wanted to come as your
special guest?
No, yeah, she wanted to take over my microphone, and she wanted to be like your publicist over here, like make sure we ask the right questions and whatnot. Nah, but shout out Janet. Yeah, Janet would invite us a lot, and we would flake out on her.
Yeah, because she would ask me like what church I go to, and at the time I was going to a different church up north. I think I was probably one of maybe 3 black people. People of color. I'm just saying. But the message was good.
So they told him, you know what? We could only have one.
Yeah. They already reached that quota, huh? So
Get out of here.
Okay.
But no, she kept telling me, she was like, come check it out. She was like, I'm going to give you a warning. We sing, we clap, there's music. I'm like, Janet, I'm from the South where people catching the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
You up in there, you rocking out. So
love it.
I was like, Janet, I'm pretty sure it's going to be probably calm. And I was excited to check it out. And then now I'm a member.
Yeah, she would invite us. And I want to say it was like 2 years ago, right? Like for Easter, we came out, and I felt like I was, and this is what made me feel comfortable at church. For that Easter, I came and I felt kind of overdressed. So I'm like, heck, this is my type of church. Like, come as you are. And now I'm lazy and I show up in a hat, and it's all good.
Hey man, I still have that old tradition. Men don't wear hats in the sanctuary.
Church, yeah.
See,
Yeah.
Only the females, like them big hats.
Oh yeah, big hat days.
No, but it's a comfortable place, and it's just the vibe is good. The music is good.
So, what year did you guys start your church? You said.
So originally we started in my house. So we started in my house with about 9 of us. If you include my wife and I think the total with the kids is 14 of us. And what we did was we didn't have no place to meet, so we started in my house, and that was 2010. That was February 2010. We actually found a storefront on Shields and Fowler, kind of where Two Extreme Trampoline is, right over there.
All right.
And I think it's right across the street from Melody Park. And what happened was we got no traction. We couldn't get it going. We didn't know what we were doing. And so we kept trying, we kept pushing, kept praying, doing everything we're doing now, but nothing happened. So in July of that year, I got a phone call about the Tower District Church. And I was like, man, let's go. Let's see what happens. And so when we drove down, we just felt like we were supposed to be there. And so once again, it took us about 9 months to get it all situated. But you said something I just want to touch on. Both of you did. You said you felt comfortable. Our goal when we decided to start a church was we wanted to create a church where unchurched people love to attend. Because Jesus said the well are those who are in good health. They don't need a physician, but it's those who are sick. So we look at our church as like an ER, a hospital, for people who are, broke or broke in, or, if they have hang-ups, hiccups, or even old hookups, they can, come to church and find the hope that they need and the restoration for their souls. So it's all been on purpose.
That is amazing to hear. But give us some background
He
on
said,
you
but.
now. Because you said y'all started with
it
9.
Yeah.
But where you're originally from, and what made you think,
Sure.
okay, I'm gonna be a pastor?
Never planned on being a pastor.
Because rumor is, you was moving that that weight.
I was doing a little something. So
I mean,
yes.
the name said it all.
Chopper.
The
Yeah.
Chopper.
Well, I don't know how I got my
that Chopper.
nickname. I've had it my whole life, but I was born in San Diego.
Okay.
So shout out to the 619. I'm a military brat. So my dad was in the service. I was born at Balboa Hospital, and I lived there up until my dad got deployed a few times on Westpac. We left when I was 6 months to go to Australia. So I lived in Australia. Picture this, a Mexican kid growing up with an Australian accent. So when I came home to meet my grandfather for the first time, he was in Stockton. I literally walked up to him and said, "Good day, Grandpa." So it was really kind of funny. And when I left, I said, "Ta-ta." And so my mom was laughing. He didn't think that was funny. But so we moved
He's like,
back.
we gotta beat this out of this kid.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I was going to go. But I was 3 years old when we finally moved back. So it was really interesting dynamic. But my parents separated. Both my mom and my dad are from Stockton. So my mom went back home. And my dad actually just moved around a lot. But so I've lived in Omaha, Nebraska, back to Stockton. Then I ended up in Oxnard. So shout out to the 805. So I went to Channel Islands High School, but my mom always stayed in Stockton. So when I'd get in trouble, she shipped me to go stay with my dad. When I got in trouble with my dad, he would ship me back home to my mom. So I just bounced around back and forth. And then, but in Stockton, I got into some extracurricular activities.
And at this point, you are in what, high school or middle school?
Junior high.
High
School.
So you started off young.
My mom's boyfriend at the time, he kind of looked like Cheech from Cheech and Chong.
All right.
But
Was he from the east side Stockton?
he Stockton. So yeah. So long story short, I'm chilling in my house one day. We're in an apartment, and I get a knock on the door. My mom's boyfriend's friend comes over, and he was holding a garbage bag. And I was like, why has he got garbage? Why is he bringing garbage in the house? And it wasn't garbage. They had just scored some weed. And so I'm sitting there.
Which is now legal.
Which is legal, yes. But it wasn't then. And so I'm 11 years old, and they get the table out, and they get these scales and these baggies, and they start rolling it up. And I asked my mom, like, what is this? Like, what are we doing here? Like I'm
devil's lettuce.
Yeah, I'm from old school, like dare to say no, and so basically I just start watching them cut it up, break it down to eighths. Comes from this bag, and so one day my parents are gone, my mom and her boyfriend are gone, and I'm like, my friends come over, they're like, hey, so what does your mom's boyfriend do? Like, we heard. I'm like, well, I don't know what he does, but I know what he has. So we went upstairs, and I broke into his safe. And so I stole some weed, and next thing you know, my friends and I are smoking it, and they're like, hey, let's do this again. So it turned in from stealing it to now I started selling it. And so what I would do is every time he'd score a good amount of weed, I would just skim off the top.
Little pinches.
But sometimes a little bit more than pinching. I got caught. So that's how I started. And then my mom found out, and I got in trouble. So I got to get shit back to my dad's. So when I was with my dad, I started helping everybody out where my dad lived on how to make connections and do all this stuff. So that I got shipped back to my mom's. Well, so I just kept going back and forth. But in high school, what had happened was I started making connections with other people who were already further along. So because my mom and her boyfriend had separated at the time. So I started, selling at school and keeping it in my locker. And I wasn't into church at all. Matter of fact, I was completely opposite. But the only thing that kept me in school is I loved playing football. And so I started selling to a lot of football players. And then I just started moving to other things, acid, mushrooms. Now, quick pause. My best friend in 7th grade, there was 4 of us, Daryl, John, and Danny. His parents were devout Christians. I'm talking, they went to a Holy Ghost-filled church, people praying in tongues. I mean, music, clapping, dancing, rolling. I mean, just one stage short of carrying snakes. And so every time I spent the night at his house, now I can't say who it is because they actually live here now, but every time I spent the night at the house.
We might have to bleep out them other names just in case.
They're going to know. They're going to know. So every time I spent the night at the house, you had to go to church. And I was like, really? You got to go to church? So I did what everybody else does who doesn't want to be in church. You sit in the back row. And if you're a guy, the first thing you're looking for is the cute girls. Like, where the cute girls at? So that was my introduction into church. So fast forward, like I'm getting their son into so much trouble. Like I stole their car. Like we went to parties. We were going to raves. Like, I mean, we were driving to the Bay. I mean, like, you name it, we were getting all sorts of trouble. Well, on one particular occasion, I just literally looked at my life and I'm like, we're doing the same thing. Like, we used to make the jokes, we're doing in high school what college students are doing. Like, driving to the Bay Area and raving, dropping acid, ecstasy. I was a junior in high school, sophomore in high school. And so I took a step back one day and I was like, there's got to be something a little bit more, like just the same old. And I just literally, I took off, us 4 on an Amtrak. I went to SoCal, went back to Oxnard, and we partied all week long. And on our way back on the Amtrak, I literally felt empty. Like, there's got to be something more. Haven't found what I'm looking for. I ended up getting home. I jumped in my car, and I went to a party. And I remember sitting at this party going, we're all doing the same thing. Again, nothing new. So I literally left the party. Now, my mom used to leave for the weekends. So I had this whole apartment to myself. And so I was growing a couple plants and I was, selling weed out my window. And I literally had gotten in trouble. Like the manager called my mom and was like, hey, something's going on in your apartment. And she totally covered for me. She was like, nah, it's all good. But my mom was leaving me home on the weekends, so my house was the after party. So people would always show up, and on that particular day, when I left the party, everybody started showing back up to my house, to my apartment. I was like, I'm not doing anything tonight. So my girlfriend shows up, and to be honest with you guys, like, even when she showed up, I was like, you got to go. Like, I mean, I don't know where you're going, but you got to go, because I just feel like something's changing. And I woke up the next day, Easter Sunday, and I took myself to church. That same church, corner of Westland and Bianchi in Stockton, and I gave my heart to Jesus. And I've never turned back. I've never smoked weed. I've never drank, nothing since that day. And so people just were surprised. I literally went from selling weed out of my locker to carrying a Bible. And everybody was just tripping. So
that's awesome.
That's the testimony.
I was about to say, that's a testimony. I'll give you a brief testimony on me, like how I found God and believed in Him. Basically, at my church, we used to have teen meetings. Yeah. So while on Tuesdays and Thursdays we had church, but the teens would go off-site to another piece of property we had and have teen meetings. And my auntie Linda, Brother Reggie, and Brother Stanley would take basically all the teenagers, and we'll talk about different topics from sex to money management to just everyday life. And, you know, basically we were wild kids. So they were just trying to like keep us on a nice and narrow path. But this one Tuesday, for whatever reason, teen meeting was canceled. So we all had to go to, you know, the church part. And I remember Pastor David was preaching, David Perry. And for whatever reason, it just like hit me extra hard. Now, mind you, I grew up in church from, you know, all the way up to now. But it didn't hit me until that message. And I don't really remember what the message was, but I just remember I was just like dropping tears, and it was like all coming out. And then at the end of the service, they would ask, you know, if you want to give yourself to the Lord and, you know, come on up. And I just remember like going up and like, you know, just they came down and prayed over me, and I said, you know, I believe in Christ and He's my Lord and Savior, and that was all she wrote. Then I was like, I want to get baptized, and then I was like, come with me.
He said, come with me.
Don't hold me down too long. Yeah. But no, that was.
He didn't know how to swim at the time.
That's when I was like, man, God is real, and He's in my heart. So that was me.
Now, you asked the question, did I want to be a pastor? I didn't. Even when I gave my heart to the Lord, I wanted to play football. And I wanted to pursue that. But I hit a crux in the road. What most people call a fork in the road. I knew that I wasn't strong enough to go and play football out of college and keep my faith. I just knew what I had come from. I knew all the things inside of me and what was going to happen, the pressures, the peer pressures, all that stuff. I say it's that other girl called the world, and I knew that I was enticed by her. So what I actually thought about doing was being like a firefighter. My dad wanted me to go in the service, but I was like, man, I grew up and I ain't trying to I ain't trying to do that. So I was thinking like maybe a cop, something of that nature. And I just remember being in youth group with my 4 best friends. All of them got saved. We all got saved together. We had a revival at our high school. People still reach out to us and tell us, like, hey, man, can't believe what happened in our class and what God did. Our Bible study at school blew up, over 400 students. Our youth group, the whole nine. Like, God really moved. And I was like, I still didn't want to be a pastor, but I remember being in youth group, and I just felt like the Lord spoke to me and, will you say yes? And I was like, I'll say yes to anything you ask me to do. So literally, that's how it happened. I've just been saying yes ever since. I mean, I don't have a plan on dying as a pastor. I mean, there's other things I'd like to do, but I'll continue to do what I'm doing now until the Lord tells me to do otherwise. But I have other aspirations. There's other things that I'd like to do. But until He tells me, to do something else, I'm going to go ahead and be obedient to what He's called me to do.
So what are those other things that you trying to get into, trying to join a band or?
Oh, man, I'm not to join a band.
You know he can't sing? Nah, I'm messing with you.
Nah, you know what? I like to do a lot of, I don't necessarily know that it'd be other nonprofits, but a couple nonprofits that I would like to do, and then a couple for-profits. I've always wanted to do something to really help the homeless peoples, around here. And one of the nonprofits I thought about is really giving them full value for the recyclables. As of right now, you get a portion because then they got to sell the aluminum. And so, but you get taxed for the full portion. So I thought, man, what if we really were able, for those who were really trying to get off the streets, what if we were to really give them their CRV? Like, we pay a nickel, right? When we go in there. So what if we really gave them a nickel in return? Then that would help them maybe to what I call a hand up instead of a handout. Yeah. So that's a nonprofit that I wanted to do. I also wanted to do something for all the single moms out there. Like, I don't know if it's like a ride share, but realistically what I would like to do is to be able to get them a car. And I'm not talking some janky beat up old thing where they got to wonder if it starts. They got to have more faith for it to start in the morning than for their own salvation. But I wanted to be able to bless moms because for a lot of years I was raised by my mom, a single mom, and we always had tore up cars and they were forever breaking down. Now, for-profits, I love designing shirts. So all the shirts you see at the church, I've done that. I'm not really good like you, Cuddy, on Illustrator, but I do get a napkin and a Sharpie and I get down.
He got you.
So I like to do that. I would also, I love, I know it's going to sound really strange, but I love cultivation. So I love gardening.
Okay. I've heard you talk about it before in service.
Does this come from your youth, cutting up and bagging up?
No. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. But my father-in-law,
He's like baby boy.
I don't know about that. But my father-in-law was really into his garden. And so he had this whole tropical garden. I just fell in love with banana plant. I mean, I'm going to start name dropping. You guys are going to look at me like I'm crazy.
No,
Cannon lilies, banana plants, hibiscus. I mean, all these things. And so I was like, when he showed it to me, I was like, man, I really like doing this. So designing patios and,
That's dope.
not just laying down grass, but really giving some texture and some color, some beautification to your backyard. So I would love to do something like that.
Yeah, you might not want to look at this one over here.
No, it's in desperate need over
It's
here,
in
but it's
desperate
good. But so I've got a lot of things inside my heart that I'd like to do, but also leadership training, leadership development. I would love to train other leaders and watch people reach their full potential. So whether that's a life coach, a mentor, and then my biggest dream is I'd love to get back into one day coaching football. So I did it for 5 years.
Were you the head coach?
Nope, I was just a D-line strength conditioning coach,
Okay.
offensive line, D coordinator. Now, I would like to get back into it. If the Lord will open that door, great. If not, I'm okay with it. But I would love to do that. I just love football. I love football. So shout out to the Oakland Raiders. I love football.
Come on, man.
Oh, no. Shout out to the who?
Oh, no, Las Vegas Raiders.
They're going to need
Man,
some prayer.
Come on, man. Come on.
Hey,
You know how hard
they're
it's gonna
gone
be?
now. Once they switched that account
I know.
from Oakland to Las Vegas.
But I'm old school when I say Oakland. Come on, man. I can say LA too. Yeah.
I don't know if you need to answer that. I think that's your is that your wife?
It's
Tom?
okay. She knows.
Okay, she knows. So I have a few stories in regards to my dating life.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
So Troy always makes his way into it to talk about his dating life on every episode.
I'm ready.
maybe because I'm ready to find a wife, Pastor.
Hey, you know what the Bible says about that, right? He who finds a wife finds a good thing
yes.
and favor from God.
All right. So last year, I want to say around this time,
Okay.
I was talking to this young lady. She was Armenian.
Okay.
She didn't believe in God. So, meaning we're unequally yoked.
It's true.
She was a great human being. We did a lot of stuff.
What kind of stuff, Troy?
I cooked and some other stuff.
Okay.
But basically, that was the difference between us, and it really tore my heart. She said she was down to come to church, the whole shebang, but we just didn't see eye to eye in that. So I had to cut her off, and she was like, "See, that's what's wrong with you Christian people." She went there for me, but what would you say in that situation?
Yeah.
Just like maybe how should I handle it, because there was like maybe this much hope and like belief in like God, but at the same time she was basically like a full-blown atheist.
Yeah, so I'm a little different when it comes to these type of questions because I like to get to know people. I love to hear people's stories. I think they're fascinating to hear where people are coming from. And I think it's interesting because culturally, most Armenians are Christians. It was the first Christian nation. Even in Jerusalem, they have an Armenian quarters because that's how far their history goes back. And I would be interested just to have a conversation with her. So undoubtedly, she's got to have some cultural reference to Christians. So I'd like to know where she got hurt, where she got wounded. And the reason I can say hurt or wounded is because she said that's the problem with you Christians. And so I sense there that sometime in her life she probably identified as a believer but got turned off. And something happened that created some type of trauma, some type of wound. And I would just love to hear her heart and what happened and to see what type of restorative process is there for her. Now, I would say for you, that should already be one of the questions before you even get interested in a person.
And to be honest, I brought it up in the beginning, but like I said, there was a little bit of like belief in I felt like she believed a little bit enough to where I was like, all right, well maybe,
If you go serious, you could
I ain't even gonna say like convert her, but I'm
Sure.
just like, come however you want.
Sure.
I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but I felt that there was a little bit in her to where she would believe.
Well, I think what I'm hearing you say is you're finding out more about you than you did about her. And so your faith obviously plays a larger role than maybe you thought at first. It's like, okay, if I'm going to be serious about somebody, well, we're talking a full-length commitment, kids, house, whatever, whatever you want to add on to that. You're sitting there saying to yourself, well, man, my faith plays a bigger role than I even thought. And I think that may have surprised you. Like, hey, there are some non-negotiables. I think if anybody's going to approach a relationship, which I'm not here to tell anybody how to, but I can only speak for me and what I would advise people to do, you got to know what your negotiables are and what your non-negotiables. I knew for me, the moment I plan on meeting somebody, my faith is a non-negotiable. I need somebody who is going to be all in with me because I live my faith out there. I live it in an extreme way to where God could tell me to pack up and move to India tomorrow, and I'll go. God could tell me to go to China where, we got coronavirus. I'll go just because he told me to go.
Better stay over there. Don't be bringing that back to the 559. No, I'm just messing with the pastor.
No, but that is
I don't know where to go with that. That's just so cold.
I'm sorry.
And I thought I was your pastor. That's all
This
right.
got any prayer?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
No, but
I'm just saying that's what I just.
That is a question. Like,
non-negotiables, yeah.
I had conversations or even just small talking. Me being Christian, say if you were dating someone that's Catholic, like at this point, I feel like it wouldn't be such a big deal to me, just because it's like I have my beliefs or whatever. But once it gets serious and it was a conversation to where it's like, okay, where will you guys get married? What church?
Yeah,
and
true.
It's like, okay, we could kind of work around it, but I think the biggest one for me is like, how you gonna raise your kids?
There you go.
And to me, they're like, all right, then we got to figure this out because this is what I believe in. This is what works for me. So that's
I think
a tough one.
So the older I get, so I'm 44 now.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah, thank you. February 25th, great day. But I think what I'm learning as I'm watching generations unfold is everybody's talking about organic. Everywhere we turn around, it's organic this, organic that. But the only thing we feed and educate ourselves on is superficial. We're driven by Gram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok now, all these things that come out, and all of it's superficial. And life really isn't preparing us for what we need relationally. Even though everything's saying we're going to be better relationally, we're actually bankrupt. We're poorer relationally than we were back when I was growing up. And we didn't have all this stuff, and you had to knock on your neighbor's door, and you had to hang out with your friends because you didn't have this connection with your iPhone or your Android, whatever. And I think what's happening is we've lost the art of communicating, something that we're not used to doing anymore. And so really, we don't even know what we want. We say organic, but we feed superficial. And with that, I think what we have to do is begin to really get to know ourselves. And like you said, man, I didn't even think about it till the word kids came up, and I'm like, oh man, my faith does matter.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
we got to start with the priorities. Like, hey, can I see myself with this person? Now, here's something I've learned. I've been married 24 years in April. Got married when I was 20. Here's something I learned.
I was going to say, you dropped that, how you guys met and everything. This was a question,
we'll
Rachel,
get there,
Rachel was the one
relax.
Pass that one on, but go ahead.
Okay. So with that, I knew what I wanted. I knew that to me, it didn't matter, which is true. It didn't matter if I knew her 4 months or 4 years. If we had the same destination in mind, I knew this one secret. I would have to become the right partner for her. I have to become that. Because I do a lot of weddings, and I tell people all the time, if you're not able to say, I love you more now than I did then you fell in love with a person who undoubtedly is going to change. Yeah. Marriage will change you. Kids will change you. Times will change you. Seasons will change you. You got to be willing to grow old. So this is what I told my. I met my wife and I met and married her in 4 months. And I made her 2 promises. The first promise was this: I'm like a fine wine. The longer you with me, the better I'm going to get. I'm going to age well.
Talk that talk.
Come on, man.
Talk that talk.
I had to steal her away from another man who thought he had game. So thought he had a chance.
Pastor was shooting his shot.
I sure did. And the second thing I told her was this: if you say yes to me, I'll make sure and I'll prove to you this is the best decision you've ever made.
That's right.
Because I'm willing to become who you need me to be. And so we've been through a lot. We've been through our own shares of ups and downs. And what happens is people are less committed now because we don't know what commitment means. Commitment means I'm all in. There is no plan B. If you got a plan B, plan A will never work. Right. And so, I think that's what's missing. So when I say to you guys, if you're really looking for love, then you start with those priorities. Now that you know, like, hey man, I'm not gonna compromise on these things. I'm not gonna compromise. These obviously mean more to me than I thought. Yeah. And so I'm gonna lead with it. We're leading with all the wrong things now. We're leading with looks. We're leading with interest. When really we need to be leading with, hey, these are my priorities. This is what I'm looking for in life. And does that match up?
Okay. I got one little brief tad bit on this other young lady who I'm talking to.
Okay.
No, we was talking about
wild.
No, like
go ahead.
We started talking, so I was like, I like to throw it out there, like, do you believe in God, that type of stuff, because at the end of the day, we don't want to waste each other's times.
That's true.
And she's like, yes. She goes, but I'm not a good Catholic, basically.
Okay.
She says, she was asking me what church I went to, and I told her. And then she says, my mom's leaving for church this morning. I don't go. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a good Catholic. I strive to be. I pray, but honestly, it's not a priority. Although it definitely should be. I said, I understand that. I said, you believe. That's all that matters. I said, I think we all try to be good in our religion, but fall short, but God got us.
Okay.
Ooh, when I dropped that one, she goes, you're cute. And there's things about you I find admirable. This is definitely a huge plus. She says, I'm trying to throw it back for someone who loves the Lord. Read that one. Read that. Am I lying?
Yeah.
She need Jesus, man.
Yeah.
This guy's wild.
I told her I was gonna read it because when she told me that, I just bust out and laughed.
That's a good one.
But it just shows that if your religion, if your faith in God and you believe in God, that's my top priority in a sense. Yeah. And anyone who I meet, so it just shows, I'm all in on God.
Yeah, and I think you got to find out what level you on though.
That's true.
You got to find out how deep is your commitment. Like I knew for me, I wasn't going to touch my wife to our wedding day. That's why I made it 4 months. You know what I mean? Like someone was like, man, look at you didn't touch her. I'm like, well, I ain't stupid either. I didn't make it 4 years. You gotta be realistic. And I think that's what trips people out sometimes is I think we think too highly of ourselves. I know I'm fully capable of failing and making mistakes. And so that's why I just have a real good self-assessment. I knew I couldn't go off to college and play ball because I knew I wouldn't serve the Lord. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't love God, but I knew I wouldn't serve God. And I think there's a delineation there. I think people got fire insurance, where they save, but he ain't Lord. And I'm trying to live my life in such a way that he's Lord, that people can look at me and be like, man, there's something different about him. There's something different about him, and he makes, he makes it real. And that's what I want to do. Part of being a fanatic is being a fan. And so I'm a big fan of God and what he's done in my life. And I've just seen too many things. I've been to too many places. And so for me, but that's my level. And I'm not saying you got to be at that level or Cuddy's got to be at that level. But I know for me, if I was going to find a wife, she's got to be at that level. So, that's why I lead with it that way. I'm an all-in type of person. But I think in the same breath, maybe whoever that female is can take heart though. Because if I'm going to be all in like that for God, then she ain't got to worry about me sidestepping. She don't got to worry about me looking at some other woman, flirting with some other woman. I'm going to guard my fidelity. There's two things if you plan on getting a relationship you got to guard. You got to guard your finances and you got to guard your fidelity. Because both of those are going to get you into trouble if you don't have hedges around them.
I appreciate you giving me some wise words. hey, sometimes everybody needs a little counseling, and
a little
I'm
Dr.
sure,
Phil.
I'm sure, you can normally got to pay for this type of counseling.
You do.
So
You do.
I had to get it while I can. But no, one of our themes this year at our church is Advance 2020.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and what made you think Advance?
Well, every year at the end of the year, I pray for a word for the following year, and last year's was all in, and so we got kind of towards the end of the year. I felt a little discouraged. There were some things in the mix, some other possibilities, some other buildings, some other cities. We wanted to start churches. We wanted to do some things, and it just wasn't happening. And so I'm a firm believer, and there's two types of people who walk this earth. There are Noahs and Abrahams. Noah, if you're not familiar with the Bible, he's the one that built an ark for the flood. He was able to get the whole plan for his life. Like God just broke it all down for him. I'm like, man, that's so cool. And then there's Abraham's, where he's the father of the Jewish religion, and basically God just told him to go for a walk one day, and as he walked, he would reveal it. And so I want to be a Noah, but God always gives me a plan like an Abraham. But here's what I'm confident in, that if I keep trusting the Lord, I keep knocking on doors, I put one foot in front of the other, then I know God's going to come through one way or the other. So with the whole building in Sanger, I got a little frustrated because I kept knocking on the doors and I thought they was opening and they didn't never open. So towards the end of the year, I felt like God told me, hey, you're going to advance. And so I was kind of tripping. I was a little discouraged in my faith. Like, okay, what's going to happen? And how am I going to advance if I can't even go all in? And so we talked about our first conference that we do every first of the year. We start our first of the year off with a first fast, which means we abstain from food. And then we start off with the first conference, which means we do about 3 days of church, just so we can get our spiritual side right. Everybody focuses in on the physical, and we focus in on the spiritual. So I went to go ask and inquire about renting Tower Theater, and when they told me how much it was going to cost, I'm like, man, can't afford that right now because we still might buy this building in Sanger. So they ended up finding me, and they're like, hey, we want to work with you. We know that you did this, you rented the Tower Theater before for your 5-year celebration. We loved working with you guys. So then he basically made me an offer I couldn't refuse, which was, we're going to donate it to you. So I'm like, whoop, whoop. So we had to pay for a few things, but the actual theater was donated.
Wow.
And so I was like, man, let's go. And while we were there, this random person, I don't even know who it was, like came up to me. They said, you're supposed to be meeting in here. God wants you to advance here. And I had gotten another word from another friend of mine, Pastor Matt Lacey, who was here a year ago, who said, God's got a building for you. You just got to be faithful. He will advance you. So I was getting sandwiched at Deli Delicious because that's what I do, support the Tower. And I was driving by Tower Theater, and I was like, I'm just going to pop in. Like, what do they really want? And so, long story short, we worked out a deal, and now we're moving forward. And to advance literally means to move forward. And I think if you're going to grow in your faith, you got to be intentional, and you got to move forward. If you want to lose weight, you got to move forward. If you want to get into a healthy relationship, you got to move forward. Everything's about you advancing. It's about you taking the next step. And so that's why the theme of our church is your next step. You're one step closer towards Jesus. So we're advancing. Here we go.
I love it.
Same. No, that's dope. And I like what you said about just advancing, and it fits. I feel like it fits the theme to our podcast when we have guests, and it's usually motivating and like not giving up and just moving forward. And so for those people, those listeners that never came out to our church or that are just like a step away from wanting, like from getting there, like what would you say to invite them or try to give them that
First
encouragement?
Off, I would say this: we're all scared.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you go to a new place, I remember going to my first concert. My very first concert I ever went to was Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh Crew.
Nice.
Like y'all probably don't even know who that is, but it's okay. The
Lottie
human
Dottie.
beatbox machine. There you go.
Lottie.
Yeah. And I remember going to that first thing. I was scared. I remember going to a new school. I was scared. And nothing's more intimidating than church, because you feel like everybody who's there has got their stuff together, right? Like they're all perfect already.
Yo, that's how I felt when I first got invited to Adventure. I was like, I don't know, man. Baby steps.
Yeah.
And catch me there every Sunday now.
Yeah, but it's true though. We get scared, like people are gonna judge me. Am I gonna see somebody who? Well, another story, but am I gonna see somebody?
Yeah.
But we all get scared, and I think there's a spiritual aspect to this too. The number one person who wants to keep you out of the church is the devil. So he's gonna throw all sorts of false narratives. He's gonna throw the false narrative like, they're just gonna judge you, or this is a common one. They only want your money, or they're gonna preach that you're going to hell. And so even as you're driving, you're not only fighting yourself, but you're fighting the enemy. When really church is there and church exists, that we might create an atmosphere where you can take a step closer to God. So this is what I tell people. Condemnation puts you in a downward spiral. It puts you to where you'll never take a step towards God. But conviction, correction is never condemning, but it encourages you, and it says to you, hey, you're not on the right path. That's why you're getting the wrong results.
Yeah.
But if you get on the right path, I'll help you and you'll get your desired results. So I just encourage somebody out there right now, take that step of faith. If you're afraid to go alone, invite a friend. Ask them to meet you there. If no friend is willing to go with you, show up at Adventure Church. We got greeters out in front. We'll act like we know you.
They do.
And we'll save you a seat.
And
Save you a seat to the second song.
The snack break?
No, hey, look, I was just about to drop that.
Now, hold up before we get to, but for those listening,
I got a story about the
if you
snack
want to come out, Troy, myself, hit us up,
I
slide in
go
the
at
DM.
the 9:15 service. I'm gonna just let y'all know.
10:45.
Yeah, because you want a seat. That's why you go to the 9:15.
No, yeah, join us, man. And I'll say it like this: if you are intimidated or scared about it, I feel like at first, and I don't know if I'm wrong for this, but at first I started seeing it more like I was going to hear advice, and like I don't have my father, and I don't have like the brightest or whatever, like big homies or whatever. So that's how I took it. Like just hearing you speak, hearing Pastor Mike, and when you guys talk, is just like this is the message I need to hold me through the whole week. And like just that advice, and that's really what it is. It seems more like a conversation that you would have with someone, but it's just.
Absolutely. I wouldn't listen.
And then the fact that when you guys crack jokes and when I like man, I love my stand-up comedy, so it just made me feel more comfortable.
Oh yeah, no.
It's just,
I feel like humor.
Yeah.
Humor is the great deflector of all things controversial. And I think that's what's wrong now. Most people don't know how to take a joke or make a joke or even incorporate humor. So I'm intentional. Like I realize I'm extra. For those of you who follow Enneagram stuff, I'm an 8-7 on the Enneagram. So which says a lot, but we don't got time for that. But I love putting jokes in there. I love putting myself down in the sense of like, not that I think low of myself, but making myself the butt end of the joke. Which you'll hear me say, my pain, your laughter.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that because I realize that if I could get a person's guard down, the Bible says it's easier to win a walled city than an offended friend.
True.
So if I can get that guard down, then I know I can get to the heart. And so when I preach towards the affections of people. So I try to get into their heart, and I try to see that your story and my story is somewhat intertwined. And if you give me a second, I'm gonna give you advice.
Yep.
I'm gonna give you advice because the Bible is full of advice on how we are to live our life. And if you would trust it, like I have, you'll be excited about the results. So I agree with you. So if that makes somebody feel better, like, hey, what am I coming to hear? Mm-hmm. Hey, if nothing less, Rachel Wood sings at or Rachel Navarro, sorry about that, that's her maiden last name. Rachel Navarro sings at a church, another, one of your coworkers. Then and Janet could watch your kids.
Janet could watch your kids. Diana could pray for you. Like,
Bill could pray for you too.
Yeah, we got them covered.
It's
so the Grizzlies are on lock, huh? That's what we're basically coming up to.
we got to bring a Jazz for one of our services.
Jasmine, invitation. We'd love to have you.
Hey, we're gonna have you do a service at the stadium. I'm like,
let's go.
We could do like 10,000 at the stadium or something.
Man, that would be crazy.
You wanted me to talk about the snack break though.
Yeah, talk about the snack break.
Okay, so this sounds. This sounds.
I might have to say something because I've been telling Dan a little things about the snack bar, but go ahead.
Okay, so I feel so bad for saying this. Like my other pastor friends, like I'm gonna get a lot of shade for this in the church realm. But I gotta be real on the snack break. So I remember watching people come in, and they were super nervous. Like, are people gonna judge me? Is this preacher gonna come in? First off, nobody ever thinks I'm the preacher. Nobody ever thinks I'm the pastor.
They think you're the bodyguard.
The bodyguard, the gardener, security guy, an usher. You know, never a musician and never the preacher. Two things I'm highly offended at. But I remember people coming in and they looked so nervous, so uptight. And I literally had this flashback of like, you know what always made me feel comfortable at a party? Is something in my hand. Like I remember going to like, so I grew up, so when I went to high school, it was like a bougie high school. Like this high school, like you either had no money or you had a lot of money. So I would go to these parties where these kids' houses were like mansions. I mean, full blown 7-8 bedroom houses, like mansions. Yeah. And I'd walk in and I'd be like, I'm so poor. I don't even got furniture in my house. And it's like, I'd be so nervous. But the moment they stuck a red cup in my hand of orange juice, right? Yeah. So I remember like just being comfortable. So I literally had the thought in church, what if we put something in their hand? And so I'm like, you know what? Skip it. As soon as worship's over, we're going to have a whole bunch of snacks and nobody could ever be upset at some good donuts, some pan dulces, some fresh fruit, you know, whatever it is, like people, it'll just melt them. It'll just get them to drop their guard.
So am I the bad one for it? So I was talking to Diana. So if I agree with you and get all excited about the snacks right now, I'm feel like a hypocrite. So I was telling like, man, the one thing I wish that we could figure out, it's something with the rappers. Either we open it for them or something. There's just because
You're like passed up there preaching and somebody still.
I'm sitting there like
trying to get the crumbs.
Yo, come on, man. I'm like, man, it's been 10 minutes. You took 3 snacks or what?
Eat that Rice Krispie treat already.
Oh my gosh.
And you just hear the I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Over there, shush.
It's true.
And I told her like, man, if we could figure something out, like pass the trash can or something, dump it out, and something ought to be good. I get distracted easily, so.
That's real though. He's got a good point. But I can always tell people who are coming from another church, because when it's snack break time, they don't move. They're like,
that's how I was the first few times. I'm like, snack break. This is interesting.
Now there's been times I wanted a Rice Krispie or something. Now like, nah, I ain't gonna be that person with making a noise. Someone's gonna flip out on me. It's funny.
Another subject I want to touch on really quick is Resurrection Sunday.
Easter.
Easter. It's huge. Granted,
it's the Super Bowl.
Yes, we at our church we do a bunch of fun and cool things like the Super Bowl, and
so that's what we're celebrating my birthday.
Yeah,
it's my birthday.
Super Bowl?
No,
Easter.
Easter.
Okay.
April 12th.
Oh, so this year it's on your birthday.
Yep.
Yeah, right on.
Hey, Resurrection Sunday.
There you go.
All right. This guy's face.
No, let's talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
And just Resurrection Sunday and.
Ooh, Easter. So, I think one of the things that inspires me is about the resurrection is it gives me hope that we are a seed that is planted, not buried. And so no matter what you're going through, whatever situation, whatever problem, you got to look at it as a seed planted. And if a seed is planted, then it's going to germinate and it's going to grow again. It's going to produce something. But if you look at yourself as a seed buried, then it's going to stay that way. In the resurrection, when Christ came back to life, what he was saying is, there is nothing more powerful than me. There is nothing that can kill me, destroy me, or take me out of your life. And so for me, it just gives me a hope that no matter what I'm going through, tomorrow can get better. And even if not in this life, in the one to come. And in the one to come, there's no cancer, there's no poverty, there's no racism. You know, it's why people who have been in bondage are always looking for that hope, and that hope that in the book of Hebrews says is the anchor for our soul. And that hope is not for what we have here, it's for what we have there. And so really, as Westerners, we get sidetracked because we love life like Easterners love death. And that's an expression for, here we love everything about this life and what it has to offer, which is the cars, the fame, the notoriety, these types of things. But if you go around the world, what they really live for is that afterlife. They know that they're going to spend far more time on the other side. And that's what Jesus was saying about the resurrection. It doesn't matter what happens to you here. You're going to be over there where there's no concept of time. And that's what I really live for. And so for me, Easter Sunday is impactful because it is the cornerstone of our faith. If Jesus didn't resurrect, there's no hope. That means death is stronger than him, but death isn't. So what we learn from that is God didn't call a sinner to, God calls sinners to be righteous, right? But how does that happen? Right? He just didn't say, well, be righteous. There had to be something to take place, right? He didn't call bad people to be good. He called dead people to come to life. And that's the resurrection. And so I tell people all the time, because most people just focus in on the sin. I'm not focusing in on the sin. I'm focusing in on what got you to the sin. Like, what is the root, not the fruit. And so Resurrection Sunday, what we tell everybody is, listen, he called dead people to come alive. And the way to do that was through the resurrection. Now, what was interesting, I just got back from Israel. I was in Israel, and I actually went to the Garden Tomb. I went to the Garden Tomb where they believe Jesus was buried. And I think it's interesting because there's this stone that's in front of it. And to me, that symbolized, like, there's going to be all these roadblocks for you to come out of your grave. But what was interesting is Jesus didn't roll back the stone. God did. Right. He sent the messenger. So that tells me we need this. We need interdependence as much as we need independence. And we need vertical relationship as much as we need horizontal. I might be able to roll a stone away for you, but it's God's resurrection power that gives you new life. And so when I was over there, it just really showed me a new concept that without the resurrection, without Easter Sunday, there's no hope. And so I want to just let everybody know that there is a hope. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow.
That's right.
Come out on Easter Sunday.
Yep.
We'd love to have you. Absolutely.
Yeah, come out. We'll be out there. Troy, you gonna be out there?
Of course.
All right.
I might even bust out a white suit, all white suit or something.
Okay.
Come on.
Feeling holy over here. No. So on our episodes, we touch on music a little bit.
Love music.
We're huge on music, and just had that was gonna be a question for you. What's your jam right now? Like what?
What you listening
to?
to?
What are you listening to right now? Or
what's bumping in your car?
Yeah, on all genres, whatever.
So, well, I know everybody expects the preacher to talk about worship music, but I'm a big oldies fan. Like
sitting in the park or what?
Well, yeah, like Delphonic stylistics, like I mean, some tierra, some malo.
Okay.
I mean, I love music. Most people, if you really, I do this on purpose, by the way. So I'm gonna give you guys a little secret.
All right.
So I will often quote songs in the middle of my sermons, and I'm waiting for people to catch it.
Yeah. No, we mentioned it last time, right? This last
I don't remember.
or the episode before that, like how you quoted
Yeah.
Neo. This is when I
The
first
great
started.
theologian Neo, yes.
this is when I first started coming out to Adventure Church, and I was like, wait, what? And then like these different, like you just mentioned different quotes, and like, all right, I'm feeling this.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up a hip hop fan, so you know, I'm old school, like Public Enemy, Third Base. Like, I mean, I grew up just immersed in the culture. I mean, the first rap album I had to steal because I couldn't buy it was NWA, Straight Outta Compton, because your parents had to buy it because it was explicit lyrics. So I stole it, you know, because my dad wasn't gonna buy it for me. But I love all type of music. The one probably music that I don't really listen to that much is country. I got nothing wrong with country. I just don't play it often, but I'm down. You know, down to screamo, like that's my weightlifting music. So
I don't understand that one.
Yeah, but you know, I'm in the gym, so I'll listen to that. I listen to a lot of Christian rap as well.
Man,
so,
I just been getting into it. Shout out Spotify, because like I have my worship playlist that I created, and you know how after your playlist ends, it starts showing suggesting, and so I just been saving a few. I'm not too sure of who the artists are. Like I haven't really got into their music, but Man, they got some dope music.
Yeah,
out
right
there.
now I found, I think it's Social Club Misfits.
Okay.
Man, so they do a little bit of rapping in Spanish and in English. The Boricuas, so they're Puerto Rican.
I feel like one of them was a
Yeah.
Boricua. Let me see which one it was. It's
Thought you was talking about Big Pun.
Que
at
lo
first.
que.
He-
Yeah, so
My
it is a Social Club
Yeah,
Misfit.
yeah.
Que lo que.
Que lo que, yeah, that's my
Man.
jam, yeah.
So that one played and I saved it, and after that one, like all these different songs
Yeah.
started coming out. We have
So Mavi, Lecrae, the one with six. Yeah, so
even in Iris.
I've got a lot of them, yeah.
It's just like, man, that's so I just let it play when I'm getting ready to go to work, and
Now I
that's a
do.
jam.
I won't lie to you guys. I do listen to a lot of worship.
Yeah.
Alabaster Box right now is one of my jams. Corey Asbury's Love Is Strong. So I do anything Hillsong. A lot of Jesus culture. But I listen to so much different music because it depends. Am I driving?
Yeah.
Am I weightlifting?
Are you on your way to church?
I'm on my way to church. Oh, I mean, you can guarantee 9 times out of 10 after I'm done on Sundays, I go home to my 80s station. So on my Sirius XM radio, I got the 80s jamming. My kids are impressed with how many 80s songs I know. I cross all genres.
That's what's up.
So I also have an Alexa at the house, which
Got to get you on that game show, Beat Shazam.
I don't know if I'm that good, but I give it a run for the money. But I just love all music. I'm not one of those Christians where you can only listen to one type. I believe the content is in the lyrics, and not all lyrics is bad.
Yeah.
How can you go wrong with Here and Now? There ain't nothing wrong with it. All them lyrics is good. So
What's a
so I had to play my my Common and Talib Kweli playlist while we're waiting on you. Like, can't, gotta tone it down.
right? What gospel artist you bumping right now? Because when I'm on my way to church,
I already know what Chubb you listen to.
I listen to a few different things, but I'm like, man, I miss my Southern style bangers. So I'll be listening to that Kirk Franklin,
I already know.
Fred Hammond, Israel
Fred
Howard,
Hammond,
oh, yeah.
John P. Key,
Oh, yeah.
all of them. So what give me some.
the first gospel band that I got into from my best friend's parents was Commission.
Okay.
So No Ordinary Will Do. Oh my gosh! Like I still throw that one back and play it. It just brings back so many memories. But yeah, now the gospel scene, I'd have to look it up. I couldn't name who it is, but I definitely know the songs. Like I said, I really listen to more of a Jesus culture, Hillsong Young and Free. So
What's that one jam that Rachel and the whole crew sings and it just hits you like right now?
Alabaster Box for sure.
Got it.
Oh yeah, just because the hook is so,
I remember like when I started coming out of church, you had mentioned you had said something about like what's your jam? Like think of what's your jam.
Yep.
And from there it just been on me to where like I would live with that song for that period, and like say when they sing Reckless Love.
Bruh,
Man.
literally, I had it pulled up, about to drop that.
Like tears
Yeah.
of joy drop, like it hits, and but like lately, like I know it's a little older, but the song Echo.
Yeah.
And I tell Rachel, man, when you guys gonna sing Echo, because that just gets you on that vibe.
yeah, it does.
And so
Well, the thing about music, it's funny. I'll be talking about it this weekend. Shout out if you want to come this weekend. But talk to you about setting an atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Music really does set an atmosphere.
it does.
And I try to tell people about that. Like if you're in a little bit of a lull spiritually, you need to set your atmosphere. If I'm at the doghouse with my wife, meaning I've done something wrong, then I know exactly how to set the atmosphere.
You didn't bring enough of that dark chocolate. That
Yeah, man, I'm telling you,
I pay attention.
She loves See's candy, dark chocolate. But what I would do is I would clean the house. I'd make her dinner. I'd get candles. I set the atmosphere. And I think sometimes if we hit a little lull spiritually, we need to set the atmosphere.
Yep.
Listen, I'm not saying this is wrong, but I think everybody will catch this. I'm not gonna put on Biggie and try to read my Bible.
Yeah.
That just don't really go together.
Right.
But you can say that about, I'm not going to put on Metallica and read my Bible. And I mess with people be like, nah, man, when I put it on, I feel something. Well, I don't think it's the right something.
Yeah, no.
Now, just
sure.
like you're not trying to, just like you're not trying to read the Bible when you're at a social function, because, people are going to be like, well, what are you doing? You seem kind of out there, kind of off. So I think you got to set that atmosphere. So when you have your jam on, you're setting the atmosphere.
For sure. No, yeah, when I need that motivation and feel dedicated, I listen to my Nipsey music. When on my way to church or when I'm getting ready to start the day, like listen to my worship playlist. Like,
Yeah.
So it's just depending on the moods.
It's definitely that balance.
Love
All right.
music.
So let's drop these tower dates. When are we moving?
March 15th, first one.
This
Man.
Sunday.
This
This
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yes, this Sunday. Yes.
What's
Man,
the time?
And we got
Yeah.
we got what is it? 700 seats.
750 seats. Yes, we
750.
do.
So we got room.
We trying to pack. No, we trying to get 800 in there.
Man,
We won't be like.
and we're just talking about performance and music. Imagine how Rachel and the whole crew are gonna be out there on stage.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. No, we're excited.
The
I've
live
never
concert.
been in a Tower Theater, so
Really?
I'm excited.
Well, it's a beautiful facility.
It's
You're
a
gonna love
nice
it.
one.
It's very historic. 9:15 and 11:15.
Thank you.
So-
I'm definitely doing the 9:15.
Yeah.
I know Cuddy go show up to the 11:15.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we do the later services for all those who got in a little late from the club the night before. Don't worry, you don't got to wash off your stamp. You don't got to get rid of your tag. You can just show up.
Keep the wristband?
Yeah, keep the wristband. It's good. Keep the
So we
neon
could
sticks.
Keep the wristband
know?
so we know who to pray for.
That's right, neon sticks. And when the worship's going on, the lights are down low. We can see your hands moving.
All right.
Yeah, so March 15th, 9:15, 11:15, historic Tower Theater. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. That was something that you just said.
Yeah.
Well, not just said, but on a message last Sunday, you said push. And then
Yeah.
wait, and then you hit him with the pray until something happens.
There you go.
So when you was talking about advance, this is what caught my attention.
Yeah.
This
So
guy takes
we,
his notes.
Hey, we pushing through.
Yeah.
Do you have? Any
So we don't have a
stuff?
quote of the day.
We got a verse of the day.
We got a verse of the day. So Pastor's gonna bless us with some words.
Can
over
I
here.
give a quote though too, and then I'll
Yeah,
make a
yeah,
verse?
yeah.
So I said something at the very end. I was hoping everybody would catch, but it's okay.
Oh, we sleeping.
I said, God doesn't play favorites, but He answers the faithful. And I think that's real important because in the generation of comparison, we feel like God is playing favorites. Nope, God just answers the faithful. So that's why we keep pushing.
Man, you gotta
So-
you gotta have that faith and stick to it, and He knows when it's real or not.
I got a verse for you. Romans chapter 8, verse 37.
Let them turn their Bibles first, Pastor.
Okay,
Nah, I'm
yes.
messing with you.
Go ahead and open up your Bible app because we know y'all got one. This is out of the NIV version. It says, "Know in all things that we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is found in Christ Jesus." So here it is. If you find yourself 50 steps away from God, it only takes one step to come back to Him.
Amen.
Hey, I was about to say that. Amen.
That's true.
Talk that talk. Well, appreciate you coming on.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
It was a lot of back and forth, but I'm glad we was able to make it happen. Drop the date one more time before we get out of here.
March 15th, 9:15, and 11:15, Tower Theater.
Tower Theater. If y'all feel nervous, I'll be at the 9:15 service. Come join me.
I'll be
Cuddy
there
will
at
be at the
11:15.
because he got to sleep in a little bit. And,
Sucker.
but yeah, no, this has been a great episode, and it's the Say Bro Podcast. Y'all have a good day and come to church.